Good morning. I am Helen Berkman, and with me was going to be Sally, but she couldn't be here because of the air quality, I think. I am the current chair of the Finance Council here at First Unitarian. First Unitarian Society is an urban sanctuary for growing souls in love and service. And for nearly 150 years, actually more than 150 years, we have been and still are a cornerstone of liberal religion and justice work in Denver. Whoever you are, whoever you love, whether you carry joy or sorrow in your heart, you are welcome here. We are so glad you have joined us today, either online or in person. We look forward to getting to know you better, and we hope you find companions for your journey. After the service, if you'd like to chat, ask questions, or grab a coffee, please join us for a coffee hour in the community room. I will be at the opportunities table if you want to meet me, and members of our board of trustees will be having their coffee in bright yellow mugs, we hope, if you want to meet one of them. On Finance Council, as you can guess, we take care of your money. We have a monthly meeting to review the investments, the operating funds, and most importantly, each year we develop and present a budget to the congregation at the annual meeting, which is 2 weeks from today, on Sunday, June 4th. We are happy to report that a proposed budget was approved by the board on May 11th, last week, and I have several copies here with me today. So if you are a committee chair or other important person that needs to look at the proposed budget and review it, please stop by and I can get you a copy. And for that reason, we also will have a budget forum a week from today, right after church, so you can hopefully ask your questions and we can hopefully answer them. We'll have a board member and a couple members of the Finance Council there at the budget forum a week from today. Please stop and see us at the opportunities table to say hi and learn all about the dozens of other opportunities available here for you to get involved, meet new people, and make connections. Now, please silence your cell phone so we can be fully present to enjoy the service. Please take a moment now to greet those around you.
Welcome, welcome, one and all. Wherever you are, whoever you are welcome here. Please join me in singing our welcome song. We are many, we are one. The light of the world is within you. Sacred and worthy is your soul. A place has been made for you. Welcome.
Our call to worship today is A Blessing by James Wright. Just off the highway to Rochester, Minnesota, twilight bounds softly forth on the grass, and the eyes of those two Indian ponies darken with kindness. They have come gladly to the willows to welcome my friend and me. We step over the barbed wire into the pasture where they have been grazing all day alone. They ripple tensely. They can hardly contain their happiness that we have come. They bow shyly as wet swans. They love each other. There is no loneliness like theirs. At home once more, they begin munching the young tufts of spring in the darkness. I would like to hold the slenderer one in my arms, for she has walked over to me and nuzzled my left hand. She is black and white. Her mane falls wild on her forehead, and the light breeze moves me to caress her long ear that is delicate as the skin over a girl's wrist. Suddenly, I realize that if I stepped out of my body, I would break into blossom. May you step out of your body and break into blossom. Welcome to worship.
Come with me and you'll be in a world of pure imagination. Take a look and you'll see into your imagination. We'll begin with a spin, traveling in the world of my creation. What we'll see will defy explanation. If you want to view paradise, simply look around and view it. Anything you want to, do it. Wanna change the world, there's nothing to it. There is no life I know to compare with pure imagination. Living there, you'll be free if you truly wish to be. If you want to view paradise, simply look around and view it. Wanna change the world, to do it. Wanna change the world, there's nothing to it. There is no life I know to compare with pure imagination. Living there, you'll be free if you truly wish to.
Good morning. How are you all doing today? I'm Erin Kenworthy, your Director of Religious Exploration, and this is our Time for All Ages. So if you would like to come up and find out what the heck is going on, come on up. I'm going to read you this amazing book that I found last year. Just to let you all know, next week is our arbitrary but official end of the RE season here at First Unitarian. We'll move into some summer programming, which really won't look all that different this summer. We're going to go towards a story time model like we did last summer in RE. And so I'm going to do a little story time today. But I brought not just the book, but also some yarn. This is a fun thing that we did back when I was in young adult group one time, and we only had maybe 8 to 10 people gathered together for sort of a small group discussion. We wanted to illustrate that everything and everybody is connected, and so we brought yarn, and then we took turns passing it around, holding on to a piece of it, and then passing it along. So while I'm reading the story this morning, I'm going to encourage our friends down here in the front and maybe further out in the community to take the yarn. Matt, will we demonstrate? Yeah, and then pass it on. See how Matt is still holding on to the yarn? That's clutch in this activity. Right, and then so you just keep passing the yarn. Cool. The other reason I did that is because the artwork in this book, it is small. If you want to see it, you can come on up here, but it's amazing because we start off with a line at the beginning, and that line continues through the entire story from page to page, and through the end of the story and out of the book and onward, just like this piece of yarn can. So you can continue to pass that, and I'm going to read the story. Are we ready? All right, come closer if you want to see the pictures, because the story is the book's pretty tiny. So this is called Everything is Connected by Jason Gruhl and illustrated by Ignacy Font. Let's see the line. Starts there. What else do you see in that picture? Planets. This looks like a bacteria to me, like atoms or planets. I don't know. Could be either. There it goes. Keep going. Everything is connected. And since you are part of everything, you are connected to everything. You are connected to a human body, to hands and eyeballs and teeth and toes and elbows, a butt and even a nose. To a heart and some lungs and a strange-looking stomach and a brain that's so smart, there's no peak it can't summit. But you're not just a body. You're bigger than that. You're connected to people, to everybody, to moms and dads, to sisters and brothers, uncles and cousins, grandfathers, grandmothers. You're connected to friends and to teachers at school, and even to people you don't think are cool. You're connected to people in Denver and Maine, in Paris and Baghdad, and to strangers in Spain. You're connected to every human on earth. Wow! And they are connected to you. You are also connected to hedgehogs and cats and dogs and squirrels and birds and rabbits and cows and deer by the herds. Monkeys, tarantulas, dolphins, and snakes. Friend, you're connected to every big, small, hairy, slimy, snuggly, scaly, floppy, flappy, bristly, beautiful creature on earth, even blobfish. Blobfish, you say? Surely not that. They don't look like me, talk like me, or act like me. And they probably stink. But you see, we're connected. We all play a part. In life, we're the same. We're all blobfish at heart. Now, this next part, though bonkers, is true, I'm afraid. You're connected to everything humans have made. To toys and to playgrounds, books and to chairs, gardens and medicine, language and prayers. Buildings and bicycles, buses, balloons, hammers and paintbrushes, tractors and spoons. But also to chicken pox, bullies and lies, to greed and pollution and trash piled high. You're not just connected to things that you like, things that are comfortable, easy, or nice. As a human, you're part of the everythingness, and sometimes it's scary and a big, ugly mess. Where are we with our yarn out there? All right, it's coming this way. Patience. But the good news, my dear, is that you are quite powerful, a force that's in everything, timeless and wowerful. You're even connected to things you can't see the invisible world for at least you and me, to cells, DNA, diseases and death, amoebas and gravity, atoms and breath, to hydrogen, nitrogen, nanobots too. You're connected to them. They're connected to you. Questions? Yeah, it's getting messy, right? You're connected to happy, connected to sad, to the past and the future, to thoughts you have had, to pharaohs, Ben Franklin, T-Rex, ancient Greece, to love and to poverty, hunger and peace, to Jesus and Buddha, Muhammad and Moses, to spaceships and aliens with noses like hoses. You're connected to all that will be or has been your this very moment where all things begin. For you are the sun and the moon and the stars, Venus and Jupiter, Neptune and Mars, comets and galaxies, voids and black holes. You are the universe, perfect and whole. And the line keeps going. So, I love that book because I feel like it sort of encapsulates a lot of Unitarian Universalism into one small book. Yeah? So this is one of the ones I suggest to families or people who are new to Unitarian Universalism as something that resonates with our values and who we are as a faith community. And you are all connected now, or you're wrapped up somewhere in the connection is what I'm hoping. What a mess, right? Now what do we do? Now what? What could we possibly do? Any ideas? Stand up. We could do that. How are we going to get this string out of here? Pull it over your heads, pass it backwards. Yeah? Yes, we can do that. Let me untangle this thing up in the front. Can we, hold on. So sometimes when things are connected and they get really tight, all we have to do is loosen a little, right? So now, I think we can probably, if we all work together, take the string, hold it up over your head, and then begin to pass it backwards till we're in the back and we have a big, huge mess of purple string. All the way back. So friends, when I did this with the young adult group many, many years ago, what we had was scissors. Right? But I didn't like the symbolism in that. What we did do with the scissors, though, is we each got to cut off a piece of the string. The other part of that activity, too, was that we added a bell. Each time we passed the string, you got to thread on a small little bell. And so that whenever we pulled on the string, our bell would make other people's bells ring. Yeah, it was really neat and fun to do with a smaller group of people than we have in the sanctuary today. So I did not bring you bells, but you got to participate a little bit. And then I'm not cutting our connections. We're just passing them back to the next generations, if you will, back behind you. And so you can do this activity at home or with other people or with groups that you want to work with just to illustrate how connected we all are. And I didn't bring the scissors today, I'm sorry. So we had to improvise. But well done and good work, everybody. Look how that worked out. Yay! Good teamwork, everyone. Thank you for being connected to one another this morning and to our larger community out on Colfax Avenue in the marathon and out in your daily lives. Blessings to you. Please join me in singing our children out to their programming this morning.
Would you please rise in body and or spirit and join me in singing out of the gray hymnal if you want to follow along with the music, number 352, Find a Stillness. The words will be on the screens behind me as well. Find a stillness, hold a stillness, let the stillness carry me. Find the silence, hold the silence, let the silence carry me. In the Spirit, by the Spirit, with the Spirit giving power, I will find true harmony. Seek the essence, hold the essence, let the essence carry me. Let me flower, help me flower, watch me flower, carry me. In the Spirit, by the Spirit, with the Spirit giving power, I will find true harmony.
Good morning. I am Stephanie Walton, and I'm a member of this congregation, and I'm also introducing our Giving in Action recipient this morning. Our director of organizing is supposed to be here as well, and she is caught in marathon traffic. So she is in the wrong part of town to get here in a good way this morning. But she will probably be here by the end of the service, and she's awesome. So I will just encourage you to introduce yourselves. So let me tell you a little bit about Hunger Free Colorado. There was a blurb in First Announce. We are a statewide organization, and our mission is to help people who are hungry find food in a way that is dignified and sustaining, and to change the policies and systems so everyone can have access to healthy, fresh food all the time. I wanted to come up and introduce this morning because I have a little bit different perspective as an employee of Hunger Free Colorado that I wanted to share, as well as the usual spiel that we give about how many people we serve by connecting them with federal benefits like SNAP or food stamps, and connecting them to programs like Women, Infants, and Children, which help families get access to food. But here's the thing about Hunger Free Colorado. I've worked in nonprofits for 20, 25, maybe years, long time. I've been in many of them, and I have never worked at an organization that walks its talk as well as this one. I love it, and I'm really cynical after some really harsh experiences in other organizations, and I show up at this place, and these people are committed and they are passionate, and we can say things like white supremacy and systemic oppression, and we can talk about how those things impact the communities that we are trying to help find their power and their voice so that they can have a say in getting the resources they need. It's really an amazing, unique experience. I go to meetings, and I am not the only white person who says we need to do something about racism, and we need to acknowledge how those things impact the work we're doing and the systems that create hunger and want and need and homelessness and difficult times for families, for vulnerable people. So that's kind of my testimonial as an employee of this organization. Very briefly, some of the things that Carla would have shared with you had she been here. We spearheaded the effort last year to get the healthy school meals for all Colorado students passed. So because of the work that Hunger Free Colorado did in partnership with many grassroots organizations throughout the state, every single school student, public school student in this state will be able to go into their schools next year, and they will be able to not worry about having to fill out an application to get a free school meal. They will not have to worry if they qualify or not. They will not have to face the stigma of somebody singling them out and saying, you're different than the other kids, you have to pay differently. There will not be school debt. Every student, regardless of their background, regardless of where they're coming from, will get food, 2 meals a day. Yeah, it's awesome. So in addition to the day-to-day work that Hunger Free Colorado does to help people get connected to benefits, to put food on the table that day, we're working on doing those big systems changes so that there will come a day when people don't have to rely on emergency food systems. Please give generously this morning. We are incredibly grateful for First Unitarian support.
Your contributions freely given this morning are gratefully received. Thank you. Thank you for your generosity. Thank you for your support of the project this morning. Remind me, hunger? Hunger for Colorado. Thank you. And thank you. At the beginning of this service, Helen Berkman stood up and gave us a little information about the budget and the budget process, but in just a second, I want to ask you to help me thank Helen Berkman for chairing the Finance Council this past year, for years of helping out with the auction, for singing in the choir, for organizing our worship leaders, which she did for years, and I don't even know how many other things she's done for the church. Helen Berkman, her faithful love for this community is one of the reasons this is a magnificent place. Thank you, Helen. A few joys and concerns of our larger community. I was out running errands yesterday, and I believe I saw 4 people in graduation gowns getting their pictures taken in parks and various places around town. So just a shout out to all the graduates out there who are completing their education and going on to wherever they're going on to. I want to offer a prayer this morning. I want to offer a prayer of solidarity and sympathy and outrage to the families in Florida who might have a gay or a transgender child, to the educators who will no longer be able to educate about sexual orientation or sexual identity, to the colleges and universities who aspire to racial diversity but will no longer be able to educate their staff or students about what that means, and to all the people who, because of that lack of education, will suffer for the lack of inclusion. These are laws, to be clear, these are laws that help no one. These are laws that liberate no one, that only seek to perpetuate exclusion and inequality. God help us all in standing against that kind of homophobic, racist, and now legally enforced ignorance. On a totally different note, I want to share that 28 years ago yesterday, the best friend anyone could ever hope to ask for agreed to marry me in a lovely ceremony that was officiated by my friend, Reverend Rosemary Carnerius, who is now of blessed memory. I want to let you know that Julie Myers and David Keller are thrilled to announce the birth of their grandson, Michael Milton Fitzmaurice. He is doing just fine, as are his parents. The grandparents are headed to Oakland next week to meet him. Congratulations. And I need to let you know that Helen Fisher, the mother of Beth Fisher, passed away last Tuesday. Beth told me that her mother, Helen, was a formidable and much-loved woman who leaves a legacy of 4 children, 12 grandchildren, and 12 great-grandchildren. On our theme for this month, creativity, I want to offer this following passage from my colleague, Reverend Victoria Safford. What if there were a universe, a cosmos, which began in shining blackness, out of nothing, out of fire, out of a single silent breath, and into it came billions and billions of stars, stars beyond imagining, and near one of them, a blue-green world so beautiful that learned clergymen could not even speak about it cogently. And brilliant scientists, with their physics, their mathematics, their empirical, impressionistic musing in trying to describe it, would start to sound like poets. What if there were a universe in which a world was born out of a smallish star, and into that world at some point flew red-winged blackbirds, and into it swam sperm whales, and into it bloomed crocuses, and into it blew wind to lift the tiniest hairs on naked arms in the spring. And into it at some point grew onions out of soil, and in went Mount Everest, and also the coyote we've spotted in the woods about a mile from here just after sunrise on these mornings when the moon is full. The very scent of him makes his brother, our dog, insane with fear, joy, and ancient inbred memory. And into that world came animals and elements and plants and imagination and the mind and the mind's eye. If such a universe existed and you noticed it, what would you do? What song would come out of your mouth? What prayer? What praises? What sacred offering? What whirling dance? What religion? What reverential gesture would you make to greet that world every single day you were in it?
Not on yet. There we go. Thanks for setting up my song so well, Mike. So in 2019, I took an online songwriting course, and one of our assignments was to write a song that was a gift to someone else in the class. So I was assigned to write a song for a woman named Clay, and so this is the song I wrote her, and yeah, it was such a gift to be asked to write a gift song. I don't know how else to say it. To embrace the space that seems to spin away, elusive, slipping into overflow. Breathe deep, count to 7, find a stillness, it will guide you into yourself, into your own true heart. Born of clay and light, deep within this star sighs a sad song, soothing this weary world, sending forth light and longing through the night till the day breaks into our souls, into our own true hearts. Till the day breaks into our souls, into our own true hearts.
Good morning again, everyone. So our theme for this month is creativity. And I'm going to begin this reflection on creativity by readily admitting that of the great many things of which I am ignorant, visual art is pretty high on the list. I'll give you an example, and maybe you've experienced something similar. So once upon a time when my kids were younger, I took them to the Museum of Modern Art here in Denver. I didn't have any special expectations, and there were many captivating and wonderful things to see. But there was one painting in particular that has stayed with me. I think it was on the third floor. It was a while ago. I'm sure it's long gone now. But this painting was about 8 feet high and about 6 feet wide, pretty sizable piece of art. It was mostly a creamy beige background with some hints of yellow in it. But the main features were one large and one smaller splotch of purple. Both splotches had rough edges as if they were done with a broad paintbrush. The larger splotch was on the sort of the lower half of the painting, slightly left of center. The other one was a little higher. And then there was a very small splotch of blue up near the top somewhere, vaguely reminiscent of a teacup or perhaps a small bird, I'm not sure. Looking closely, there were a few drops of red paint along the left side. And they were drops. They were not brushed on. That was it. That was the whole painting. Curious, I looked closer and I read the card on the wall, and it said, I quote, "Untitled." I quote, the artist refused to give a name to his work because he didn't want words or language to affect how someone might experience the piece. Now, I don't mind being ignorant. It leaves lots of room for growth. And clearly some growth is needed because I don't have the slightest idea what I'm supposed to do with that particular painting, or how I'm supposed to react to it. Like, was it in the shapes of the splotches or their arrangement? Was it in the subtleties of the colors? They were kind of subtle. The purple and the creamy beige. Was it in the overall effect of the whole thing? I tried to sort of, blur my vision a little bit and then step backwards and forwards to see if there was something I was supposed to see. Was there a message in those splotches? Was the message in the creamy space left behind by the splotches? Was there a message at all? Or was the intention just to fill some space in an artistic, unique, and mildly intriguing way? And like, what would be so bad about giving the thing a title so an ignoramus like me might have a clue? Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that wasn't great art. For all I know, that painting might be considered the epitome of abstract cultural commentary, an expression of artistic training and skill in its highest and purest form, and if you told me that, I would not argue with you, though I'd be a little skeptical inside. Truly, I enjoyed the time I spent looking at that painting. It's a pretty rare occurrence. I can walk up to an object in a fancy museum and think, I think I could do that. Now I realize I'm about beating this thing to death a little bit, but since I've come this far, I'm going to go a little bit further in exploring creativity. I have so many questions. Like what was going through the mind of that artist to create such a thing? Was it pre-planned? Was this like the fourth or fifth draft of some finally perfected idea? Or did it just sort of flow from the artist in an afternoon of inspiration, like what comes out is what you get, like Jack Kerouac used to write novels? Was there a specific kind of experience I was supposed to have? Or is the point of the thing that there's no point? And out of all the artists and paintings out there, what kind of discussions or criteria did the museum go through to pick that one? I have no idea. On creativity, so is the creativity of that art primarily in the artist who painted it? Or does the creativity take place primarily in the viewer? Maybe someone like me who probably has spent way too much time thinking about this. I kind of feel like I got pretty creative thinking about all these questions. And maybe that was the point, to wonder and puzzle over it. I really have no earthly idea. And by the way, I learned that you can Google paintings with purple splotches, and there's thousands of them out there. Big ones, little ones, different shades, colors, hues, patterns. It's amazing. Who knew? I want to expand on this idea of creativity a little bit. Partially because there's some cultural baggage to overcome. Robert Fulghum wrote, ask a kindergarten class, how many of you can draw? All the hands will shoot up. Yes, of course we can draw. All of us. What can you draw? Anything. How big do you want it? How many of you can sing? All hands go up. Of course we sing. What can you sing? Anything. What if you don't know the words? We'll make them up. How many of you dance? Unanimous again. What kind of music do you dance to? Any kind. Do you like to act in plays and stories? Yes. Do you play musical instruments? Yes. Do you write poetry? Yes. They will answer yes again and again. They are quite certain the world is large and everything is possible. Then, writes Fulghum, try those same questions on college students. Ask them if they draw, dance, sing, paint, or play an instrument. Only a small percentage will raise their hands, and those will want to qualify their answer. Then Fulghum says, imagine the response to these questions asked of a group of working or older adults. Hardly any will say yes. Maybe 2 or 3 in a group. Like, what goes wrong between kindergarten and adulthood? What happened to yes? Yes, of course we can. It wasn't that long ago, before commercialization and Hallmark cards, that people of every race and every culture, your grandparents and great-grandparents, we made our own music, did our own drumming and singing and dancing. These were communal happenings, no art degree required. People would compose their own poems, put on neighborhood plays, otherwise give creative life firsthand to the heritage of their families and communities. My father used to talk about practicing the art of writing a good letter. And I have read letters I could only describe as art. The poet Max Coots wrote, "It's the little deaths before the final time that we ought to fear. The blasé shrug that quietly replaces excited curiosity. The cynic sneer that takes the place of innocence. The soft, sweet odor of success that overcomes a sense of sympathy. The self-betrayals that rob us of our will to trust. The ridicule of others' visions. The blindness to what was once our sense of beauty. These are the deaths that come so quietly, we don't even know when it was that we died." I'll admit, I read that and I thought, ouch. Like, ouch. Like, to heck with that. Like, life is too short. We should be digging deep, loving without apology, singing with conviction, pouring our hearts out into something pithy and worthwhile. We should be laughing often and especially at our foolish damn selves. Amen? I think we should get mad when it's appropriate and not be so timid or afraid to reach out for a little truth or beauty, because it's all around us all the time. One of my professors used to say that the non-creative human being doesn't exist. That we're mysteriously driven to put a stamp of individuality and originality on everything that touches our lives, and it doesn't matter if you're making widgets on an assembly line or cooking a meal or designing an elevator or arranging the furniture in your house or foraging for mushrooms or folding the laundry or writing an original song for a stranger. Just the ways we communicate with each other. The nuances of language, inflection, word choice, sentence structure, all of this is creative. You are creative all the time. I asked my beloved the other day where in her life she felt most creative. She said she feels it most vibrantly in the middle of complex real estate negotiations. Right? Navigating the legalities and the contracts and the timelines and the personalities of people under stress, keeping everyone on the same page and strategizing to get a win-win situation. For me, it's synthesizing stuff. I don't think I'm especially original, but I'm pretty decent at synthesizing ideas and threads from various places, finding the common threads in metaphors and language. I also get a lot of satisfaction from the wood shop in my garage. There's nothing quite like, for me, the physicality of wood and tools in my hands, and the ideas and the possibilities that a piece of wood brings to my mind. Tammy and I agreed that parenting our boys required relentless creativity. Relentless creativity. We also agreed that, like staying grounded and sane and connected to each other through times of stress and too much busyness, also required great creativity. And I know for a fact that people who deal with depression or anxiety or chronic pain or PTSD or other health issues are enormously creative in finding ways to cope, to heal, to keep going. Sometimes even just to function. Enormously creative. A few weeks ago, I quoted Thomas Berry, who wrote, "The emergent process of the universe is neither random nor determined, but creative." The emergent process of the universe is neither random nor determined, but creative. Just as the emergence, right, the emergence of friendship and love, community, ecosystems, galaxies, the process of this emergence is neither rational nor predestined, but creative. And just like the process of evolution that has brought us here, always happens in relationship. Nothing exists in a vacuum. In another sermon, once upon a time, I made the point, not original, that the book of Genesis needed a new interpretation of how humans are created in the image of God. The traditional interpretation of being able to, is that we're made in the image of God and being able to tell good from evil. And I thought that was a shallow moralistic interpretation of a much richer ancient story. And I borrowed from some more modern theologians who proposed that the image of the divine that is reflected in humanity is the creative image. Like the divine, we have the capacity to be creative. And that being creative may be the most spiritual thing we could do. That's a pretty cool idea. Being creative could be the most spiritual thing you could do. Henry Wyman was a process theologian, philosopher of religion, who became a Unitarian. He and a few others proposed that the best way to even think about God is to think that God is the creative process, the creative event, the tendency in the cosmos wherein, and I quote, "the several parts of life are connected in mutual support, vivifying and enhancing one another in the creation of a more inclusive unity of events and possibilities." In short, God is creative transformation, the growth of meaning and value in the world. That's a pretty cool thought. Like my interpretation of Genesis, Wyman believed the surest, purest way for us, human beings, to participate with the holy was through creativity. Taking the chance to co-create truth, beauty, the world of the future in 1,000 ways, every moment of every day. He thought all such creative acts make us inescapably partnered with the animating spirit of the universe itself. So I'm going to conclude with this thought. I think of all the creative gifts given to us, like the proverbial gift of grace, unasked for, unearned. None is more universal and none is more life-affirming than the creation of relationship and community. Does that make sense? As we often say in our congregation, we are more as people in community than we could ever be as people in isolation. We covenant with one another in recognition of our common life, in honor of the holy that lives in each and every soul, in mutual accountability to something higher and more noble than our individual whims and wishes, we covenant together in hope and solidarity for love and justice on this earth. And this is my wish for all of us this morning, here in this month when creativity is our theme. Laugh often. Pray without ceasing. Create a world of beauty and of love. Amen.
Would you please rise in body and or spirit and join me in singing once again out of our great hymnal, if you want to follow along with the music. Number 212, We Are Dancing Sarah's Circle. 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 Sisters, brothers, all. Here we seek and find our history. Here we seek and find our history. Here we seek and find our history. Sisters, brothers, all. We will all do our own naming. We will all do our own naming. We will all do our own naming. Sisters, brothers, all. Every round a generation, every round a generation, every round a generation, sisters, brothers, all. On and on the circles moving, on and on the circles moving, on and on the circles moving, sisters, brothers, all. Join me in singing our closing affirmation. Behind all our differences and beneath our diversity, there is a unity that makes us one, binds us forever together throughout time. Life and death and the space between the stars. Throughout all time, life and death and the space between the stars.
Friends, in a round world, what goes around comes around. Circles and cycles of stars, seasons of growth and decay, birth and death, and unexpected resurrection. You and I and we are inextricably connected to all that is and was and ever will be. Our service is ended. Go in peace.